Do you feel forgotten about at work? Are you patiently waiting in line for your turn and then bam, someone cuts you in line for the big promotion? Does your employer take advantage of you, yet you remain loyal and keep playing by the rules? Meanwhile, it feels like your coworkers are doing whatever they want, whenever they want, with no consequences. In fact, some of them are even being rewarded for being such renegade, rogue coworkers, right? Welcome to the SuperPumped Business Podcast, where passion, purpose, and profits collide. If you want to launch the kind of growth that changes lives from the bottom all the way to the top of your organization, this is the place. I'm Ben Walters, a serial entrepreneur, pastor, coach, and consultant. If you're ready to stop playing small and start building something extraordinary, let's get super pumped. I recently read a Wall Street Journal article that got me really fired up because it said this is exactly what is happening to Gen X workers. Callum Borchers in the article writes, quote, the Gen Xers who waited their turn to be CEO are getting passed over. And the article goes on to say that baby boomers, and we know this, are staying in their jobs way longer than any previous generation. So whereas you could have counted on the generation before you maybe to retire at 60 or 65, now they're staying into their 70s, some even into their 80s. And when they decide to finally step down, a lot of them are passing the baton down to the millennials. And there's a variety of reasons for this, but the perception is that the millennials are more tech savvy, they're more social media savvy, they're just a little more current with the times. So basically, what the article concludes is that the loyal executives born between 1965 and 1980 who have been patiently waiting for their turn, grinding away, those folks are being passed over and forgotten. Now, as a Gen Xer myself, I can empathize with my peers, and I've seen this happen. But it's a broader problem. It's not just Gen Xers who get passed over. Sometimes it's baby boomers. Sometimes it's millennials. Sometimes it's even Gen Zs. People who have done all the right things, and yet, for whatever reason, they don't get that key promotion. They don't get rewarded for their loyalty or their hard work. And I was thinking about this. Like, I know anecdotally I've seen this happen, but is this really true? So I did a very unscientific type of my own research. I decided, you know what, I'm going to look at all 32 NFL coaches and see maybe that's true that Gen Xers are underrepresented in the coaching ranks. Because you would think being between 50 and 65, they would be the prime biggest thing. If you think of that, it should be a bell curve, right? If it's a perfectly fair world where you've got a few millennials down here and a few baby boomers over here with head coaching jobs. And then at the top, because they're in that 50 to 65 range, you would have the most in the Gen X demographic. But here's what I found. Of NFL head coaches, 6 are baby boomers, meaning they're still hanging on, even many beyond that retirement age of 65. Then there are 7 Gen Xers, that 50 to 65 range, and there are 19 millennials. 19 of them. So the bell curve is blown up. It is completely out the window. And what it shows is exactly what the Wall Street Journal article was saying, that Gen X is being passed over. And so these Gen Xers just feel shafted by the system. But the question is, what are you going to do about it? Now, one option comes from a Gen X generation movie by Jim Carrey. He was the lead character, called Liar, Liar. His car gets towed to the impound yard and they scratch it up and beat it up, even though it went in perfect condition. And so he goes to the guy at the desk and he's like, this is ridiculous. This is a travesty. You have shafted me on this whole thing. And he says, here's the famous quote. He says, you know what I'm going to do about it? Nothing. What I'm going to do is piss and moan like an impotent jerk and then bend over and take it. So my question for you today, Gen Xer, or anyone who feels forgotten in their career or jerked around, is What are you going to do about it? Are you going to take it and whine and cry about it and say, life isn't fair and this isn't cool and I did everything right, and become bitter and angry and just rageful about this? Or are you going to decide to do something about it, to take control? You got two options. Let's be honest about it. Stay forgotten, go quietly into that good night, bitterly grind out your career for another however long you have, 5 years, 20 years, whatever that is, in a miserable state of existence. Take the gold watch, go home, and then continue to bore your spouse or your kids about how you got the shaft at your crappy employer, right? That's an option. Certainly a lot of people take that. That's not the option I would recommend. That is not the super pumped option. I think you should decide to stop passively waiting for your opportunity. You should seize your opportunity. You are primed to lead. You have the experience. You have been battle tested. You have the education. You have everything it takes to lead right now, except perhaps some of you, the confidence. So stop waiting and start acting. And trust me, you have way more leverage than you think. I am so tired of looking on social media at all these mopey Gen Xers who are saying, I just have to come to the realization and the acceptance that I have worked my last meaningful job ever, that I am being put out to pasture like an old cow who's no longer able to produce milk. Come on. Really? Okay, you can do that. That is a terrible attitude. You know what? Whatever happened to you, that stinks. I'm sorry for that. But suck it up, Buttercup. Let's get real here. You can decide how this last chapter of your work career goes. Make a darn decision and then make it happen. Now, think about this. I'm thinking about this in my own context. I just wrote my final undergraduate tuition check for my youngest child. I wish there was like balloons and party thing that could pop up behind me. Woohoo! That expense is off the books. I have managed through a heck of a lot of hard work and grinding to get all the kids through college, okay? Beyond that, I have sizable retirement savings in 401k plans and annuities. And here's the third piece. I have significant equity in my home. And do you know what some of my friends have? They have paid off mortgages. Some of my friends who got into that, what they called that starter home and decided never to leave, they don't have a mortgage payment anymore. All they pay is taxes and insurance. So that is off the book and all that equity is sitting there. So stop pissing and moaning and start deciding one of three paths to your future. First, you have the option that you can make something of yourself at your current employer. Secondly, you can move to another employer. Or third, which is my favorite option, being a serial entrepreneur, is be your own employer. Bet on yourself. Start your own business. So today, and this is a two-part series, we are going to unpack the first two options. And then next week, we will unpack the third option, which is business ownership. So first off, if we're talking about your current employer, stop sitting there forgotten. And I don't mean make a noise and throw a tantrum. What I mean is figure out at your current employer that you have been loyal to, that you have done good work for, figure out where you stand. Ask your boss or the leadership or the board, what is the plan for you? Do they see you as the next leader of this organization or this department or this, whatever that looks like for you, okay? Whatever that pinnacle in your current career track is, right? So make some noise. Lay your cards on the table. Let the powers that be, I know you've been the loyal soldier and just head down grinder, and sometimes the squeaky wheel gets the grease, right? Let them know you want that top job. You want to be CEO or COO or department head or department chair or president or whatever that position is you dream of. Declare your intention. And do you know what you do after you declare that intention? Silence. There is so much power. We can get into this in a whole nother podcast, but in asking for something, this is a sales thing, and then just be silent. Because so many of us, we want to break the awkwardness. It's okay if you don't have me in the plans. Don't say that. Say, I want to be CEO of this company. I have put in the work, and you can make your case a little bit. Don't do the full thing there, but then just be quiet. Let them think about, let it wash over them what you're asking for. And then when they respond, listen very carefully, because their response is going to tell you volumes about where you stand. Is the response, of course, we expect you to be the next leader? Or is it, haha, really? Really, Billy? Not in a million years do we think you are going to be the leader of this company. So whatever that response is, whether it's yes or no, then I want you to drill down. If it's no, I guess you've got your answer. But if it's, yeah, we see you as the CEO, then drill down and say, okay, what's the time frame? What is the transition plan? What do I need to do to ready myself for that next step, for that opportunity? Get specific and don't let them string you along. Don't let them say, oh, you're the heir in waiting. You're the successor planned. Going back to football, Florida State, they had a long-time coach, Bobby Bowden. At one time, he was the winningest, had most wins in college football ever. And he stayed at Florida State well beyond 65. And he had this longtime defensive coordinator. His name was Mickey Andrews. And everybody assumed, including Mickey, that Mickey would be the heir apparent to Coach Bobby Bowden. But Bowden coached well into his 80s. And by that time, when he finally stepped aside, do you know what the school did? They skipped Andrews and they named Jimbo Fisher head coach. As baby boomers hang on longer and longer to the top seats, don't assume anything about their departure. Talk about it. If the current CEO is going to step down in 3 years, let's say they say Tom at the helm is going to be done in 3 years, right? Then you have something to work with. You can decide, one, are they true to their word? Do you really believe Tom's going to step down in 3 years? And then two, does that work for you? I know you've been loyal to them, but be true to yourself. If you're like, you know what? I want to be retired completely in 7 years. I don't want to wait 3 years to assume the top job for only a 3 or 4 year stint. Or if you don't trust them, or if the ramp is too long, you know what you can do? You can pull the ripcord. Your current company may also be forthright that you are not in their succession leadership plans. But guess what? Pushing it to a head, it's better to know than to get strung along. You need to know where you stand with your company. And then you can decide, is it something you want to continue to be loyal to and continue to work toward? Or do you want to pull the cord on option 2, which is to politely tell them, take this job and shove it? Now, what does that mean? If you decide, you know what, I don't see a path in my current company, start looking at what else is out there. I am amazed. I don't know if it's a Gen X thing or just a comfortability with the evil we know, but so many of my peers, they're like, oh, yeah, I have no idea what I'm worth. I have no idea what's out there, that kind of thing. It's time to start looking. It's time to start seeing what your options are for this final chapter of your life. So first thing, polish up your LinkedIn profile. Let people know, open to work. Then though, and this is more important than the LinkedIn, put out some feelers in your network about other opportunities. Now, I'm not saying you say you're quitting if you haven't quit yet, but I'm saying talk to people in your field, colleagues. What else is out there? Here's another option you can do. Reach out to a headhunter. Reach out to someone. Headhunters typically are looking for particular professionals or executives with certain expertise. So reach out to a couple that are looking for people with your expertise. Here's the thing. Just because your company doesn't see you as their next leader doesn't mean you're not exactly what another company is looking for. After all, you're battle-tested, you're adaptable, you're pragmatic. You would make a huge asset to the right company. But you've got to start believing it. You've got to start thinking of yourself in that light. Start thinking of yourself as a high-performing athlete who is a free agent. who is going to work to get the best deal for themselves, because this might well be your last contracts. Think about that. If you're an athlete and you've put a solid 5-7 years into your craft, right, and you're really at the top of your game, they don't just decide, oh, I guess I'll just continue to make league minimum. They don't decide, you know what, I'm going to give my hometown team, because I've been with this team for a long time, I'm going to give them a huge discount, but continue to do all the heavy lifting for that team. No, that's not how it works. They have this thing called free agency, and they go out and they shop their services to 32 other teams, if it's the NFL, or 31 other teams. And they say, here's what I've done. Here's my body of work. Here's my stats. What are you willing to pay? And they look at comparable performers. So if it's a wide receiver, they look at somebody with similar numbers and what are they making? What did they just sign for a year ago, or 6 months ago, or 3 months ago? And then they say, I think I'm slightly better than that person or slightly worse than that person. And then they set their salary in that range, including signing bonuses and stuff. It's the same thing with your career. Think of yourself as a desired, sought after, important asset. And then start shopping your services. Start letting people know you have value to bring to the table. So often I think we're humble to a fault. And so we tend to not want to toot our own horns, and I can be guilty of this too, this humility. I don't know if it was just ground into me as a kid, but it's hard. But the reality is, if you want to get somewhere, you've got to let people know you have skills, you have aptitudes, you have something to bring to the table. 2 options. If you don't want to just continue to piss and moan that you're forgotten in your workplace, whether you're Gen X or whether you're Gen Z or Millennial or a baby boomer, then if you're going to do something about it, figure out where you stand with your current company. And if they either are putting you off or stringing you along, that's okay, because you've got options. So your second option is the grass could be greener somewhere else. Find another option. Polish up your LinkedIn. Get a headhunter, put out some feelers in your network, see what else is out there, go start doing interviews, find yourself another job. But a third option is to walk away from corporate altogether and to be your own boss. From day one, you are the one calling the shots. You take all that experience, all that know-how, all those skills, all that passion, and you start making it work for your benefit. No one to answer to, no punching the clock. You can decide to work 7 hours a week or 70 hours a week. It's up to you. You set the strategy. You hire your team. You build something, and this is the key thing. You are building something, if you build it right, that you can sell when you're ready to retire. So it's not just, oh, okay, I retired and I got a gold watch and a cool Costco sheet cake. It is, holy wow, I just sold that thing that I built from nothing, or that I acquired and built up. I'm selling that for 7 figures or 8 figures or 9 or 10, depends on how big you build it. Boy, talk about changing a life trajectory. Talk about changing a family's legacy, right? You can decide at this moment whether you want to just continue to get your average, mediocre pay and loyally just grind it out to your retirement and probably be pretty miserable and probably make a lot of people around you miserable at both work and at home. So that's an option, the piss and moan option. But you can also do something about it, and you can do something about it within your company, in another company, or the third option is on your own. Next week, I want you to stick with me for this. We will unpack specific strategies to leverage your assets to become your own boss. I want to close today by reminding you that you are not forgotten. Now is your time. It is time to step out of the shadows, go to the head of the line, take the reins, and seize your professional destiny. This is your moment. Seize the day. And if you need a partner to give you strategy or a surge of confidence or even cockiness to get to the next level, I want you to book a free appointment with me and let's talk. Let's get this done together. Thanks for joining me today on the Super Pumped Business Podcast. If you enjoyed today's show, I have 2 quick next steps for you. First, subscribe or follow us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or YouTube. And second, jump on over to superpumped.com to find out all the incredible ways we can help you launch your Super Pumped business. Keep well, and I'll see you next time.